Oakley dokley. Let's continue things on the Elias Makos show. And our good friend, my good old buddy, Glenn Castanheira is on the line. He's executive director of Montreal Centre-Ville. He is a man about town and he knows about the downtown core. Glenn, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
So, Glenn, listen, I was off air. I was on parental leave for the 2 months, right? For June and July. I leave, and then this city goes to you-know-where when they decide to shut down all the restaurants on the Grand Prix weekend. To start off here, because we're going to talk about the changes that were announced this week, take me back to that weekend in June from your perspective. I was hopping mad. When that all went down, what was going through your mind?
Wow. A lot of words that can't be said on air, for one. But I have to say, besides anger, there was a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
Because, and you know, for your listeners that didn't watch the video of Sandra Ferreira, second generation restaurateur of Café Ferreira, spilling her emotions publicly and expressing what countless other restaurateurs, and this is really important to know, countless other restaurateurs and business owners are experiencing on a regular basis, but do not speak publicly about, often by fear of reprisal.
Yes.
And also I had a lot of flashbacks because I've lived similar situations in different functions, having seen it happen on Saint Laurent Boulevard when I was there before, and hearing a lot of stories. So my first thing was not again, and I can't believe, how, and I'm careful with my words, but how dumb can you be to actually go ahead with this type of action? So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? So the announcement this week, what does it do to guard against? I can't think of a stupider, more vindictive, terrible decision than to make the call on that Friday night to clear out those terraces. So what was announced this week to guard against whatever boneheadedness or mean-spiritedness that led to that decision on Grand Prix weekend?
So just to be clear, because we are talking about a lot about the terraces on Peel, because again, Ms. Ferreira spoke publicly about this, but it's important for listeners to know that this happened the same weekend, happened to many other establishments in downtown Montreal.
Wow. Many
Many well-respected establishments were forced to shut down with thousands of people thrown to the street in a Gestapo-like approach that made people not only question their decision of being in Montreal, but literally fear for their own safety, given the behavior of these inspectors. So what was announced to us, there's two elements. First, and I think foremost is the most importantly, is that Monsieur Prudhomme, who is the deputy director responsible for public safety in Montreal, former SQ officer as well, made it very clear to everyone, and this to me is very positive, admitting that this was a stupid mistake and should never have happened. And I can't hear it enough, because to this day we hear certain people saying, "Oh, well, the establishment, did something dangerous that put people's lives in danger," which we all agree, if it was the case, would obviously justify an evacuation. But that admitted and concluded, repeated many times, this was not the case. This was not a justified intervention. So let's make that very clear. And what was announced, what we were told to prevent this from happening again, is that this little group, which are not firefighters, which we all thought they were up until the incident, who are inspectors, they're civil servants. It just so happens that they wear uniforms that look like firefighters, and they give themselves titles like lieutenant and whatnot. Well, they have been stripped with their power to, and I'm putting this in my words, stripped with their power of evacuating an establishment unless they get proper authorization by a director, someone, an actual firefighter who has the experience and can determine if yes or not this requires an evacuation. Mind you, if there's an obvious imminent danger, from what I was understood, what I was told, obviously they will make the decision, right? There's I don't know, there's propane gas next to firecrackers, next to, that's kind of obvious.
But if it's a 3 centimeter piece of a deck that's 3 centimeters over, we should not be shutting down things on Grand Prix weekend. That's the
there you go. Or on any weekend for that matter. Just give a fine, come back, give a period of time, and then give a second fine. That's what we were told. Also, better training for these inspectors. What we were told is that the SIM had already identified that group as being problematic before the incident, because again, this is nothing new. This has been ongoing for a long time. But the SIM has had new leadership in there for the past years, a new deputy director also in the last 3 years, that are looking at different segments and had not identified that the preventive inspection, that group that we're talking about, as being a priority. Obviously, the incident of Grand Prix put them on top of the list. And so they're going to go through extensive training, better training, amongst other things, for them to, be able to determine if yes or no it is adequate to intervene or not. And another element, which we were told, is that they're now creating a committee, and God knows we're all fed up with committee, but this one sounds interesting, which is a bunch of directors, so that when a situation does arise where we don't get the answers, there's a channel where we can communicate to say, hey, there is a problem here. I think this might get worse. Please look into this, which could have happened with Grand Prix weekend, where there was a pre-inspection that went against the instructions that we had gotten before. There was a bit of confusion, but yet there's no one you can call because there's no written traces. There's no official communication about these inspections. Everything is verbal. So to really standardize and give a process of appeal, if you want, for when certain inspections and directives are given.
We're with Glenn Castanheira, Executive Director of Montreal Centre-Ville. So, Glenn, when this went down, I'm off air, I'm on parental leave, and I was enraged, right, when this story came out, because I know what a big weekend this is. It's the weekend for Montreal businesses. It's the weekend, right? Yeah. So I was enraged. And because I'm not on air, I went to Twitter and I sent out a tweet, right? And the gist of my tweet, I'm trying to remember it, but the gist of my tweet is, downtown core, we see open drug use now. We see open drug dealing. Nothing happens, right? It's been now, I think we're up to month number 10. We're on weekends. We've got people going through downtown core, going through the streets of Montreal, openly calling for a genocide of one people. They use terrible language. Nothing happens. It's been 10 months of that stuff. And then honest business owners, they're 3 centimeters over some regulation. Shut them down. I said, we've lost our moral compass, right? Now, to me, my one worry is, for it to end up being an inspector shutting down something over the weekend, there has to be, if not a directive from the top, but a general aura from the leaders of the city that is like, you know what, let's be hard on business. Let's be tough on business. So I'm wondering on that end, Glenn, what do you think about the messaging from the top that may or may not have led to something like a crackdown on businesses on Grand Prix weekend? Do you understand where I'm trying to get to?
I do, yeah. And it was a big part of the debate. Well, first, just to add, some oil to the fire to what you just said, let's remind your listeners that, to your point, a couple weeks after the incident, when fire services wanted to inspect the campus on McGill campus, which they took an appointment for, right?
Yes.
They took an appointment. Yeah. They said, we're going to come at that day, that time. We're going to come and inspect the tent. They came, only 2 people, right, compared to roughly 20 officers in SWAT gear that came to Ferrara Cafe, but 2 individuals, and then they were kicked out and were not able to inspect the tents and were told to turn around and go back home. Yeah. That was okay. Yeah. But the god-evil capitalist that's running a business, paying, mind you, Canada's highest property taxes here in downtown Montreal, hiring people, helping various causes, well, that jerk, we really need to shut down. So to your question, I honestly don't, and there was other question, from the top, is it, I really don't think that it has any direct link with the leadership in Montreal. It's a problem that predates the current administration. Now, has the current administration, contributed to making it better or worse? Well, I certainly don't think they contributed to making it better, but I don't think they contributed to making it worse either.
Gotcha.
It's a problem that's been there for a while. It's really a mentality, but you also mentioned, I think it's something broader, which is a general sense, not just from city leadership, but from different parts of our government, whether you look at OQLF, whether you look at Revenu Québec, whether you look at, and this is one of the comments that's coming from a restaurant industry as well, they're fed up of being treated like crooks. And that is something that happens often, as if you're the bottom of the food chain of, we don't care, we say jump, and you should tell us how high, being directed to our small business owners. That is the reality. So it's this culture of absence of consequence for making the lives of our businesses unbearable. And we see this not only with these gentlemen that did the prevention inspection, we see it with many other services, and it is very frustrating. And when you add all that up together, is why you end up with a toxic environment, or at least an unhealthy environment, like we have now to foster business.
Glenn, I got to run. Always a pleasure talking. Thanks so much.
Likewise. Take care and welcome back.
Thank you so much. Glenn Castanheira, Executive Director of Montreal Centre-Ville.